Hey folks, this is Dr. K, and in this video I'm going to show you how to set up Project 5. So Project 5 is basically a combination of, the setup is a combination of Projects 3 and 4. So the first thing you want to do is you want to check if Projects 3 and 4 are working. You want to double check that. So I'm going to open my Project 3, my Dr. K Bookstore view, and I'm just going to go to the terminal here. I'm going to run that using npm run serve and see if I get what I expect to get. And if I click on the link there, yep, that's what I expect to get. I got my drop down menu, and I've got takes me to classics no matter what I choose. Okay, fantastic. That is working. Now, let me quit that by going back to the terminal and Control C. Okay. And then I want to stop that, and I want to check my Dr. K Bookstore REST, which is my Project 4. And for this one, I'm going to run my Tomcat. I have a server on this one. Project 3, I had a client. On this one, I had a server. And if you did not put a server on Project 4, it's not a big deal. It's not that much difference. It's more of an option. Okay. And there you go. I've got my database information, and I'll just quickly check if my API is working. I'll choose API categories, and I'll choose, this is the one I like to use to check if everything works. Categories name, science fiction with the space in science fiction, and suggested books. Question mark limit equals 2. So I should get 2 science fiction books from here. In JSON, and that's exactly what I got. Okay, now I'm going to close that window, go back to IntelliJ, and I'm going to stop Tomcat now. All right, so it looks like Project 3 and Project 4 are working. And let me just double check if I got rid of Dr. K Bookstore Fetch from my directory structure, because I've gone through this a couple times. There's Dr. K Bookstore REST, Dr. K Bookstore View, so I don't have Dr. K Bookstore Fetch, so I should be able to create a new project now. I don't want to use Vue.js. I want to create a new project. I want to select new project, Dr. K Bookstore Fetch. All right, that's where I want to create it. Java, Gradle, Groovy, fantastic. Go ahead and create that. I'm going to let this build, but I'm actually going to wait till that finishes building, but I'm actually going to select all that. This is my build Gradle that it's giving me. I want to get rid of that whole thing, and I want to rebuild that Gradle file. Or want to rebuild that project with the new Gradle, and it has nothing in it, so it doesn't take long to build. And so now I want to create a server and create a client. Don't have to do it in that order, but that's the order I'm going to use. I'm going to say module. I'm going to choose Jakarta EE, and I'm going to call this module server. And I'm going to not choose, I don't want REST service here. I want web application. That's important. And I'm going to choose Java Gradle. And I'm just going to say next. I'm going to get rid of this dependencies because I'm going to add a brand new Gradle file. In fact, I'm going to import the Gradle file from the Gradle file from Project 4 will be imported. So, all right. So I'm not going to worry about this Gradle file because that is going to change. I'm not going to quit this. I'm going to go ahead now and create the client module. This one I do want to be a Vue.js module. I want to call it clients. And I want to make sure I uncheck this box. I don't want to use default project setup. I want my own. So I'm going to go ahead and create this. And you can see in the terminal, I don't want this because I don't want to use Vuex. I want to manually select my features. I don't need Babel. Babel is optional. If you want to put that in, you can. You definitely want to put TypeScript in there. That's pretty important, and the router is important. Do not put Vuex. Do put linter, and I think that's all we need. I'm going to hit return. I'm going to choose Vue 3. And most of these, I'm just going to hit return to choose the default. I don't want to use class style component syntax. Use Babel along TypeScript. I don't really have Babel. Use history mode for the router. Yes, I'm going to use history mode for the router. And here you got to be careful. I don't want the default, which is ESLint with error prevention only. I want ESLint plus prit here. I want to lint on save. Dedicated config files. No, I don't want to save this. And now it should build. It's going to take a little while. Okay, and once this is completed, what I'm going to have is I'm going to have a project called Dr. K BookstoreFetch with a client module and a server module. I'm not even going to try to run npm run serve yet because at this point I'm going to replace a bunch of files with what I have from projects 3 and 4. So I'm going to actually quit out of this. I'm just going to close this window. And in fact, I'm going to close IntelliJ IDE. As long as I have Dr. K BookstoreFetch. Now I'm going to go to this application, which allows me to open two windows side by side, essentially. And on this side, I'm going to keep on this side where I'm copying from, and this side will be where I'm copying to. And both of those are in CS5244, CS5244. So let's do the server first, doesn't matter. Let's do copy from Dr. K Bookstore REST server and into Dr. K BookstoreFetch server. And I want to copy the source folder, and I want to copy the build.gradle. So it should work if you don't do this, but I like to delete them first. Okay, so this is Dr. K BookstoreFetch. These are the files I want to trash these. I'm going to put source build.gradle. I'm going to copy them, and then I'm going to go to the client here, and I'm going to copy from Dr. K Bookstore View client. And here I'm going to actually delete the public folder. Only has the fave icon and the index HTML. I'm just going to delete the public folder, the source folder, and I don't have a Vue config.js here, so I'm not going to worry about that, but I'm going to delete the public folder and the source folder. The reason I'm deleting the public folder is because I want to replace the index HTML file, because that has my font awesome information in it. So, I'll just replace that and drag these things over. Okay. And I also want a Vue config.js. So I'm going to drag that over. But here, this view config.js is from my Vue project, so I have to edit that because I want this to be Dr. K Bookstore Fetch. Okay, I'm going to save that, and I'm going to get out of this, and now I'm going to open IntelliJ, reopen IntelliJ, and reopen my Dr. K Bookstore Fetch project. And I'm going to assume, actually this is my build.gradle file from the server, and you can see that it has copied this over. This is not what it was originally, so this is coming over from project 4. Okay. But what I want to do is I want to create a run configuration. Okay. And this is going to be a Tomcat configuration, Tomcat server local. It filled in Tomcat automatically just because that's what I used last time, but you can see that that's my Tomcat 9063. And I'm going to go to deployment and hit the little fix button. I want the server var, and it gives me this terrible name, so I'm going to change that to my application context, which is Dr. K Bookstore Fetch. Okay, so now both my application context and my view config.js are the same thing, which is pretty important. Just for a sanity check, I'm just going to go up to the server tag and look and make sure that's Dr. K Bookstore Fetch in there. I'm going to say OK, and now I'm going to run Tomcat. And since I'm pretty sure I copied everything over here, including the context XML and the web XML, I think it just should work right out of the box. So I'm going to run Tomcat. Okay, I'll just always add. And look at that, beautiful. Okay, there's everything. And again, just as a sanity check, I'm going to check my categories, name, science, space, fiction, suggested dash books, question mark, limit equals 2, and see if I get 2 science fiction books. And isn't that wonderful? I get 2 science fiction books. I'll close that tab. I will stop the Tomcat server, and now I will go to I could have kept that running, but I'm going to go to terminal now, and I'm going to cd into client. Now this will come up as when I do an npm run serve, this will come up at port 880 because or 8080 because Tomcat is no longer taking up that port. And there it is. Click that, and lo and behold, everything's working. Okay. All right, that is Project 5 setup. Thanks for watching.